6.9 from the IEBC servers. Because here you can see that I am less 36 polling stations that I did not get from the IEBC portal. So that gave the 30 votes, while we know that the portal of IEBC is talking of about 233,000 votes. I want to take you through some things here. I have two sets of forms that I will show you where they are. In one set of form, the title may look like this. And if you look at it, you compare with the next one that I'm showing. Actually, I've showed one here, and I've showed the other one. And I cannot tell the difference between those two in the heading. It's not possible to tell the difference between those two. And then I went and checked on the sign sections, and then I realized again that I cannot also tell a difference between the two in the sign sections. But then now it was like, how do we get the real difference? If I go to the content of these forms, you realize that the data is in a picture form. And in that picture form, it's very hard to read by some software. So again, by looking at them in a nutshell, just with a naked eye, you're not able to differentiate. So in one form, it's like that, and in another one, it's like that. So looking at this and looking at that, the only thing that can be easily visible is the totals down here. You can see that here, in this form, I have the Right Honorable getting 24,544 votes, and His Excellency Ruto is getting 12,808 votes. But if you go to the other one, now you get that the Right Honorable Prime Minister is getting 24,444. Now, if you compare with the other one, there's already 100 votes not there accounted for, because here it is 24,544, but here it is 24,444. Then when you go to Dr. Ruto's side, you're going to see 12,808, but on this other side it is 12,908. Now that data is massive inside there, that where to pick that 100 that has been taken from Jacom and given to Ruto on the other side is very hectic for the 291 forms that are there, that is plus including the diaspora. So I decided to subject this to a system that gave me clear pictures. And in that system, I started noticing a few things. You can see here that in this station, Jacom has 270 and 79 for Ruto. But when you come to this side, now he has 170 and 179 for Ruto. And I picked, that is noticeable. So with that, you can easily see that the 100 has been taken from these two, and then the 100 added here has been added at 179. And it's only in this one polling station, which is actually station number 1, in a stream of 10 polling stations, which were not touched. Only one of them was touched, and the change was there. I give you another one of a different one. Here, you can see that in this station called Mivumoni Primary School, now that is figure that already been discussed, that has been discussed. Now, let me take you to a summary of all the constituencies first, before taking you to the specific polling stations. In all the constituencies, you can see that after analyzing the whole project, we realized that in Mombasa County, it is only two constituencies that were affected, and that is in Likoni and in Mvita, where Jacob lost 100 votes and Dr. Ruto gained 100 votes. And here Jacob lost 400 votes and Dr. Ruto gained 400 votes. Then when you come to the others in Kwale, only 2 were affected. And here we have the figures as you can see. So this is what happened in Kilifi, only one station. I mean one constituency and one station, that is. Now, I want to take you to the regional values, because it will be faster to look at them in regional formats than in county formats. Now, when you look at the regional values, you note that at the end, IBC awarded Jacob 649,000 votes and awarded Dr. Ruto 336,000 votes. That is the official result from the IEBC portal. But when we look at the other result that the ED gave me, it resulted that Jacob was to have 651 and Ruto to have 334, meaning he lost 1,950 votes and Ruto gained 1,950 votes in Coast region in total. Then when we come to Northeastern region, I'll show you again here that now IBC awarded Jacob 352,000 votes and awarded Dr. Ruto 196,000 votes. But in our analysis on the other side, it gave Jacob 374,000 votes and Dr. Ruto 174, meaning 22,000 votes were taken from Jacob and Dr. Ruto added 21,000 votes. You may think these are the so-called hot air, but I will show you where they come from. Now, when we come to Upper Eastern, the IBC awarded Jacob 149,000 votes. And Dr. Ruto was given, and Dr. Ruto was to get 648,000 votes. Now, here the deductions go higher, and now he's losing 83,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto is gaining 83,000 votes. Lower Eastern, we note that here, IBC portal gave Jacob 769,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto was given 250,000 votes. This looks clear. But you see, when we look at what we added on the other side, we have 770,000 votes and 245. That means in the Lower Eastern, Jacob lost only 1,400 votes. And then Dr. Ruto gained 5,100 votes. Now, we come to Central Province. Now, in Central Province, we have against Dr. Ruto's 1.6 million votes, while when we add onto the other side, Jacob should be having 1.027 million votes, and Dr. million votes. I will show you where they all came from. And here he lost a total of 604,000 votes, and Dr. Ruto gained 615,000 votes from Central Province. And we decided to settle here a little bit and say that it's common knowledge that a sitting president was coming from Central Province and he was on this other side. So it's possible that there was a sharing of 50-50 votes in Central Province. And given that this data is almost reflecting that, I think a 50-50 is a fair game in Central Province, knowing the people, how vibrant they are in that place. Then we come to Rift Valley, which is the largest voting bloc. And here, IBC comfortably gave Jacom 1.1 million votes from Bomas. And Dr. Ruto was given 2.666 million votes from Bomas. And our addition from Rift Valley gave Jacom 1.4 million votes, and Dr. Ruto 2.3 million votes. Looking at it, 1.1 and 1.4 in a voting block of the whole of Rift Valley is not far from the truth. It's true that you can see that it's possible that the 1.4 was highly attainable, because we should have seen what we were seeing in Central, in Rift Valley, because in Central it was 400,000 votes only, and in Rift Valley he has 1.1 million votes. And this other system is not exaggerating. It is giving 1.4, so we can see that he lost 300 available, and that is why we only work with what was there. So looking at it carefully, you will note that in the end, His Excellency the Prime Minister lost 1.182 million votes, and Ruto was awarded 1.2 million votes nationally. And in that, now, if you add all these data values and all this, you're going to have 244 million votes. And then Dr. Ruto having 5.9. So when you hear His Excellency the Prime Minister saying, I have been having 1.8, and Dr. Ruto, he has been saying, has been having 5.9 million votes, this is the breakdown in the constituency format, so that you can easily track it. Because looking at it on the value is confusing, that everybody else would be asking, where are those values coming from? So with that, allow me loading the server form. You Go through it, look at it, you will see. To look at just this telephone number written here, it is 8 and 5 is crossing this line. And when I take you to this, you can also see that 8 and 5 is crossing the line. So it's basically the same form, signed by the same people. But when you take them through a process that we did, then I take you here, and you'll see the outcome. Now let me be clear that we had 4 candidates, and out of these 4 candidates, the other 2, we added their values and they all returned 0. That means nothing was deducted, nothing was added to the other 2 candidates. So instead of bogging you down with so much data, we decided to omit them and compare only the 2 data sets from the first 2 candidates. And so this is what came up from Likoni. If you look at it, we have the station and then the stream of the station. For example, Mtongwe had 3 streams, and they're all captured there as this is the stream. The first values are the server forms for the Honorable Prime Minister, and the other is the server form, the server results for the Dr. Ruto. And then on this other side, we have the Bomas results for the Prime Minister and Dr. Ruto also here. So when we try to, just simple math, we try to subtract one data set from the other, we have results here. You will see votes deducted from Raila and votes added to Ruto on this other side. So it runs here that here it is indicating that only this Likodep has 100 lost and 100 gained. So we go and confirm with the forms, the original forms. Because we don't want to add or remove anything, we pick on this. And then we go to that Likodep where it is, and you will see that here Jacom has 270 and Ruto has 79. And this is the form from Likoni constituency. If you look at this form and you pick it up and go with it to IEBC, they can easily accept it that this is their form because it has all the features that are needed for it to be an IEBC form. Then when we go and check on this other side, to tell you that the system wasn't cooking anything, we go to that same Likodep, and we note that here Jacom has 70, and now Ruto has 179. If you compare with this, it is 270 and 79. Now you can see the trick that was being played here. The trick that was being played here is that you can see in this column, really not that's what I wanted to say. But 3%, you come. Variances until you reach some stations that here in Gazi Primary Room 1, it was the easiest place to attack and then to remove. $200 votes and leave him with 77 and give Dr. $32 changes to 182. So that 50 is found from Kilulu Primary. So in Kilulu Primary, where could it be, Kilulu? Should be the last bits. Here it is. You have 156 and you have 132 here in Kilulu. And then when you come to the Bomas in Msambweni, again we look for Kilulu. We look for Kilulu. And you can note that here they decided now to do it. I think these were now the last minute rushes to bridge the gap, meet the constitutional threshold, declare president, things work. So here it is take 100 and add even from the beginning, and then where you are tired, stop. So they got tired there and stopped and everything. And they realized also that on this other part, he was faring well, and on this other part, he wasn't faring that well. So it was like give him a standard outcome of tens, and Dr. Ruto gets a standard outcome of hundreds. And with that, 6,800 votes lost and 7,100 votes gained. Yes, so I want to take you to Mwea, where I have an issue with the forms there. Mwea is found in Kirinyaga, I think. Where is Mwea? Here. You can see Mwea almost looks like, yes, in the servers, there were these values here, and then there were these values here for Dr. Ruto in the servers, but they are very questionable servers. In this part, I want to take you directly to the forms and see some of the mischievous things that were happening in the forms. So let's go to one of the forms. This, I want to take you first to the IEBC form at the Bomas. Here you'll be happy to look at it and say this data was done well. And here we have 71, 92, 78, so on. And Dr. Ruto gaining 317, this and that. And when you look at it, the form looks clean. Nothing mischievous on it. And if you look at it, this is still okay. This is how their results were looking at the Bomas. And then you look at it and everything is fine. Until now, Jacob is given 12,912 votes versus Ruto's 75,000 votes. But let's look at the whistleblowers form and see some mischief that somebody was doing before they could upload the values to the IEBC servers. If you look at it, on the other side we have 71, but look at this. This is 171, and it's not even 171. There was a cut of some values that were superimposed on a result that was here. So that cut was foolishly done, such that it did not cover every data. So in this case, only IEBC knows the values that are lying behind this 71, 92, 78. Only them would know, nobody else. And you can see that in this case, there were hundreds being gotten here, and there were also hundreds being gotten here. But now when you go to IEBC portal in the server, in the Bomas, it is clear that it was rectified, and now Jacob is given his 71, and Ruto has his comfortable 317. So even if he lost in Mwea, then we have here hundreds and 300 is even seen here. We have a 300 seen here, we have 200 seen here, but this 66 is not part of this 2, looking at it keenly. This 66 is not part of this 2. There must be a 2 and then 2 more values behind it. So this happened at the Bomas. And when you look at it, at the end of it, the results addition do not reflect this with those cuts. And you can see those cuts were even made on this particular data, this set. This is normally the hardest image to edit. This image is called JPEG. The JPEG image is one of the hardest to edit. We can edit easily what is called a bitmap image, and the bitmaps are these ones. This is a bitmap image, but this is a JPEG image. So how they edited even a JPEG image and superimposed data on top of it is still very questionable. So that happened in Mwea. And from the look of things, what was happening in Mwea there is probably what was happening in very many stations in Central Province. So that's why IEBC is the only people who can tell you the actual values found in Central Province. Lastly, is to take you to where now things were done blatantly. It's like we don't care. We are doing it and we care less. Here, I'm taking you to Tarbo and Tinderet in Uasin Gishu. Where is this part here? Uasin Gishu, let's look at Tarbo. If you look at Tarbo here, look at a section like here. This particular section. Where? Okay, this was a swap. This was also another swap. And you can see that at some places, Jacob is getting up to 400 votes, and Ruto is getting 6 votes, and so on. Okay. So after that, they swapped it and realized that at the end of it, we have a total vote of 25,000. So lastly, because of time, And this is something you can go over by yourselves. I think the website is stable. It's not been touched. Is lastly Tinderet. Tinderet is found in Nandi, and we have this. So this was the worst manipulation so far because there was no swapping, nothing. It's just like, even if you have 201, we are giving you just one. And the 200 we give to Ruto. If you have 304, we give you just 4. And the 200 we give to Ruto. Even if you have 200, we give you 0. And the 200 we give to Ruto. If you have 30, we still give you 0. And the 30 we give to Ruto. If you have 400, as long as we give you the last value, it doesn't matter. We get the rest and give to the other side. So these are the types of manipulations which were done in that. And in this case, you can see Jacom lost 11,000 votes, 385. This is an ODM property, and by extension, Azimio la Umoja property. So I would refer you to go to a website that is called KenyaElectionResults.com. Now, people go type other things. It's not Kenya's election results. Neither is it Kenya elections result. You have to type it correctly as KenyaElectionResults.com, one word, and you will have your full analysis there. For those who don't want to go through everything, you have a PDF format of the entire polling stations, 46,000 of them, and what happened in there. It is a little big, and maybe I'll just download it to show you how it is, so that you can see the intermittency that was being used to manipulate various places, according to the two data sets. Yeah, because here it's clear enough to show you that we did not access 234 server forms, 34B. Or rather, we only accessed 238 server form 34B, and 53 forms were not available. So this analysis does not include 53 stations. And those 53 stations, they are all highlighted here. If you see something written download and there is nothing to download, means there is no form there. Just like that. So at the end of it, you have your values. You can see that everything looks fine in the polling stations. Nyali is fine, Likoni looks fine. Until you come here, you see your first deduction. Then you come, other constituencies look fine. Until you come here, you have your other deductions. And then everything looks fine. You come here, you have your deduction. You have your deduction like that. Until places where you have swaps and so on. Thank you. I'm done.
Shagala bagala, niko tayari kulipa gharama, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza sura, wataki kuuza se.
It is reminding me of something that is critical to look at. Somebody will come out of here and say, you have showed us two forms. How will we know the difference between those two forms? They look alike, everything is alike. Then we went ahead and checked what could be the technical issue behind these forms. We decided to go and check on what is called the file size. The file size indicates whether forms are originating from the same source or they are originating from different sources. Now, when we looked at them, we noticed that all the server forms were having this type of figures. Like now, the Jomvu has 3.9 megabytes, while Bomas is having 5 megabytes. And then when you come to others, these ones are having lower megabytes, and then the Bomas are having higher megabytes. If you look at it, you note that the scanners that scanned the forms at the Bomas were not the same scanners that scanned the forms that were being posted at the portal. Now, what is the technical explanation behind this, if we can ask? It means, point number one, the scanners that were scanning forms at Bomas were of higher resolution. That means they were much more clearer, they were much more technical, and they were much more expensive. That is the explanation behind it. The scanners that were scanning the portal forms, the server forms, were of a lower resolution, such that it gives you lower quality. Then we started analyzing. Why would that happen? In 2017, there's a time that people were glued onto their screens and no results were coming. People were blaming IEBC, but it was a technical error that they could not resolve at that time, because they already formatted their scanners to send high-resolution datasets. So those datasets went and jammed the system, and in that case, results refused to flow. So when they said we are going to correct these things, we highly anticipate that the KIEMS kits that they reformatted later were now allowed to send lower resolution datasets. And once, that is the reason why this 2022 election, there were no jamming. If you would go to their website, you would get results. Every time you will get results. That is how we managed to even download all the results. So it's a pointer that the files from the lower resolution are files that came directly from the field. And that means they came from the returning officers directly to a specific server that was undisclosed. And then they were being taken and reformatted and then scanned again with a higher resolution server, a scanner that would give you now, check at this only, Likoni, where there was only one manipulation of one polling station. We have 4.6 megabytes of the result form from the server, and the Bomas one now raises it to 9.6 megabytes. So that is just it, to show that there was a little bit of a change. This is subject to confirming if you can access the actual KIEMS kits, and also IPC is the only one who has rights of access to those ones. God bless you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Barnabas. I think you can go and sit. You know, I don't know whether to tell you to clap from the story we have seen, or but for the good job he did, please, let's give him a hearty clap. We are not clapping because of what you've seen, but because somebody took his time to analyze them. Thank you very much. Please, that is the information that is there, and we ask these people, if you really want, let's compare this with what is in there. And I don't know why they're afraid, because if I was the winner, I would rush and give you this to prove to you. But why are they reluctant? Kuna kitu. Sivyo? Si kuna kitu. Secondly, who was administering the elections? Wasn't it IBC? Wasn't it IBC? And the chair of IBC was who? Chebukati. So why has William Ruto now assumed the chair of IBC? We are not asking Ruto to open the servers because he was not IBC. So why is he always saying servers want to be opened and he was not the IBC chair? Ask yourself those questions, and then please, you can take over. Where's Zen? Yeah. Then please, that's what we have to present. Asanteni.
So, because some of you know me as an artist, I don't think that was enough in terms of appreciating both Double O, Odoro Ngwen, and our brother Barabbas. So we do Kamoshi, you know? You know how to do Kamoshi, yeah? And to call the rains and to gather the clouds. So Kamoshi, Kamoshi, Kamoshi. Alafu tunaanza manyunyu, manyunyu, manyunyu. Manyunyu. Mvua inaongezeka. Kubwa sana. Radi! Moja tu. Thank you very much. Now I will just make one simple announcement to remind us how this meeting is slightly different from the kind of meetings people are used to. I've seen a number of our honorable members have joined us. According to our leadership today, your role is to take very keen notes. This is a people's meeting. So we are now entering a phase where a select number of individuals who had indicated on a first-come, first basis that they would like to speak in this gathering. Then after those about 8 to 10 people, we go to plenary, and plenary will be held in a way which basically says show of hand, and then we try all the sides and give people show of hands. Those who are still slightly standing at the door, there are few chairs remaining upstairs, so you could go and find yourself to the balcony. The first person and brother and comrade who had indicated their wish to share their thoughts with the leadership is none other than Brother Gasheke Gashi from the Social Justice Center. Brother Gasheke. Brother Gasheke, as he's coming, normally he speaks with fireworks and consistency in ideology. So please.
Viva Azimio, viva. Forward with the People's March to State House, forward. Long live Baba, long live. First of all, I'm very humbled here, and I really appreciate you of you. Na kwa presence here, humble kwa presence here na Baba na nyinyi wote, freedom fighter, mama yetu Martha Karua, na all the leaders here Azimio. I really appreciate you na for coming back here to the shrine of resistance. As you know, miaka yote na Baba, ukisoma historia ya Baba, even his naming, Raila Amolo Odinga, he struggled for his name. Just imagine when you have na priest ataka kukubatisha na nguvu akupatie majina ambayo babako hataki, na babako anasema hapana, he must get an African name. Just imagine walitoka kwa kanisa wakakaa for a month, then until the bishop said no, you can bring them, I baptize them. Tukrapieni Baba bana. So we are so humbled by a social justice movement to be here, and we are very happy that we are allowed to speak. Some of my colleagues will say something, but we have some issues as tunataka kuzungumzia kwamba because the electoral injustice ama the electoral justice campaign, Baba alizungumzia pia before 2017. Now what has been shared here is very clear that there was manipulation. And even the German court, now I'm sure comrade like kina Amolo, Tindo Amolo, when they are talking about hizo nini BVR, they have made German court imesema you can't leave machine to vote for people's leadership. Na baba amesema hivyo kuanzia 2017 and even now. And we can see here is manipulation. So sisi kile tunataka kuadd kwa hii electoral justice campaign na people's march to state house ni ya kwamba lazima pia tuambatane na issues za social justice. Long live Baba, long live. Long live Baba, long live. Forward with the resistance, forward. Forward with the march to state house, forward. Asante sana baba, niko nasema kwanza tunakusherekea kwa hiyo miaka yote. Kuna watu wanasema ati utuache kwa wilderness. Ati baba retire atuache kwa wilderness. Sisi tukuliwe. Usituache kwa sababu these are hyena. They are political hyena. There's two fellows in state house. They are political hyena. They know when you leave us before we reach Canaan. and very national conspiracy that robbed us this victory. is so clear. When you listen to Baba's speech, when he was speaking to business people, he was so clear how to change this country. Starting with the formation of the business class in this country, how far we have come from. He was so clear. He was so clear. And even he was asked about the question of manufacturing. You know what he said? He talked about all the wealth of resources in Congo, in East Africa, everywhere he talked, especially in Congo. And he said everyone is looking for coltan in Congo, everyone is looking for mentor in Congo. And he was so clear about how he revive manufacturing. And that's why, Baba, I'm saying this. And this must be well articulated. The international conspiracy, listen to the Pan-African speaking. And they said, if we give him this, we will allow him to take this. And he's talking about, and even in the neighborhood, there was a lot of fear of you becoming president. Because they know you become president, the entire region changed. And also I say, although the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, he had a progressive foreign policy. He made there was a peace in Ethiopia. He made sure our army progressive has entered in Congo. And also he also opened some embassies that imperialists don't like Palestine. So these people had a grudges against us. And we must be honest and tell them. I was saying the German country, they have said you can't use BVR as machine, the Supreme Court. You can't use machine for people to vote. They have told us about manipulation. So what we are saying is that we must not relent. We must not relent on this resistance. And really we appreciate also, na karibu sana Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka, na we are so humbled. And we are very happy for you giving us this opportunity to share with you our view. So what we are saying is that our demands are here. Now our demand is demand for people's march to State House. It might be protracted struggle. And we are requesting, as we continue with the struggle, in Sabasaba of this year, which Baba will be that 1 year since you entered Kamkunji ground. The Sabasaba of this year, we form a people's government. This fellow, they have gone to the money market, as somebody was speaking yesterday. They went to the money market. They were looking only 200 billion. Now wakaambia sisi tuwezi wakopesha. So there is no government here. So Baba, don't allow the people who are telling you, tell them I can't leave my people in the wilderness. Azimio letu la kufika Canaan, lazima tufike. Kama tutatembea mguu hadi State House, pale tutaunda serikali ya Wakenya, kila mtu apate maji, afya, elimu, tufike hapo. Na for electoral justice, the parliamentary, we also agree, as it happened before, here in Ufungamano, and many years, and religious people have spoken, and some were saying that, who said that the only parliament knows the solution of this country. So we demand, and I have seen Boni Kalwale saying, asking you ati, sasa kama mulikuwa mnatuita si hold hizo, mwache hizo meetings za town hall. Why are they fearing? So we need to tell Boni Kalwale, and Sheikh Ngao amekuwa hapa na kina Boni. Mwambie, he should not forget where he has come from. Yeah? Tumemkampenia huko akiwa ordinary person, daktari wa kawaida. Yeah? Tumefanya protest na huko kila mara. So asisahau kule ametoka. Na our young people, I'm telling you, let's read Baba's books, history, and where we are coming from. Because the problem we are having is that we don't go and read Baba's books and no. Just hata kubare Jaramogi Odinga, it was a great struggle. The state had refused them. It had refused them. Hata kiwanja Uhuru Park hapa, 1994, they were denied. Just imagine. So Baba, we are so happy, and don't give up. We are behind you, and we'll die for you. And those who are thinking that we totally fika Canaan, they need to know that even Canaan safari ilikuwa 40 years. So our demands will give you, and I hope Baba you give Mwangi area and our people from Central Province. I don't know why, hatujai interact hata kidogo, but very many people of the Luo nation everywhere, we have been with them. Kwa nini, although Mwangi Weria, I saw you coming with young people, ambao tumewamenta kidogo. So I think we should get young people who have been confused by these people who hijack democracy, so that we articulate this issue. And also make sure that the voices like yourself that have been the voice of unifying this country have an opportunity to speak and articulate this vision. And what we can say is then we are together and we build a broad-based front, a broad-based front, a broad-based front that can carry a social force that can make sure that even if it means that, because sovereignty of people from our constitution come from the people, the power is delegated. We can withdraw that power and make sure we form a government of the people. But don't do it our country to self-destruct. That's our humble submission. And social justice movement is shaping up, and we are following your footsteps. And after reaching Canaan, for sure I promise you, after reaching Canaan with Baba, for sure, you know, the history will be on our side. Viva Baba, viva!
Viva!
Long live Baba, long live!
Long live!
Forward with Azimio, forward!
Forward!
Forward with electoral justice, forward!
Forward!
Forward with State House, march forward!
Forward!
Thank you very much, and I hope we'll continue this struggle.
Asante sana. Now, you know, I'm one of in civil society, citizen formations and movements. The reason why we gave our brother Gasheke uninterrupted submissions based on three things. One, he was speaking for himself. He was speaking for the social justice centers across the country, but he was also speaking for the millions of Kenyan young people, young men and young women who are suffering in this nation and who are targets of state violence. So, those who will come after him, please be more precise, more concise, and remember, I'm not trying to censor your time. Remember, we have limited time, and I'm sure many people would want to say things that Baba and the leadership can listen to. Mheshimiwa Kalonzo, welcome kabisa. We are in a session now listening. Leaders, as you instructed us, we ask people to talk and you listen, so that then we can take this movement and this struggle forward. The next person I'm calling is Minokia, Social Justice Traveling Theatre. This, hapo, this is a long tradition of performance and interacting with people, and the social justice traveling theatre is paving new ground every single day. Welcome, welcome, daughter, welcome. If you can use, oh, you have a mic. Go ahead. You want to use this one? Yeah. Okay.
More power to the people, more power. More power. I hear that power, please. Upper Heavy Auditorium is very historical. So more power to the people, more power. More power to more power. More power to Azimio, more power. Yeah, it's usually very hard to speak after Gasheke, but I will just focus on one thing, which is Article 43 of the Constitution, which I understand very well that Baba na Mama hapa wali play a very key role to make sure that we have that Constitution. So we as young people, we call upon the implementation of Article 43 of the Kenyan Constitution. Kwa sababu hiyo Article 43 ndio inatupea right to food. Na sisi ukweli wa Kenya wa mashinani tuko njaa. I come from Mukuru kwa Jenga, where the last demo, I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Minocha. I come from Mukuru kwa Jenga, where the last demonstration took place. Now ukweli, you can tell from the crowd of people that ukweli watu wako njaa. So sessions were, of course, to this police brutality, kwa sababu tuko na haki kwa constitution, tuko na haki, tunajua tunafaa tukuwe na chakula, tuko na haki, tunajua tunafaa tukuwe na employment. Me, I live very near in industrial area, and I can tell you 80% of the youths in Mukuru Kojenga are unemployed. So this kind of idleness ina cause drugs, and this kind of drugs inaenda kwa crime. Na tukiona kwa crime, these people now start shooting us, which is of course I do not advocate for crime in any way, but what is the root cause of all things that are happening huku hivi mashinani? It is kind of poverty that is improvised by the state ndio ina to cause this kind of poverty. So we want to say that what Azimio is doing is very great in terms of calling upon these people to be accountable. Na hizi vitu zenye walifanya campaigns nazo wakituambia watatupea na hawakutupatia. We as young people are dying huku mtaani. We as young people, manze, watu wa young huku mtaani wanateseka na wanateseka vibaya sana. If you go to these slums, you will see the kind of idleness and ina happen huku mtaani kila siku. Watu hawana employment, watu hawana vitu za kufanya. So we want to say that the government has to implement these things, because sisi tumechoka ukweli, and we will march to that state house and take power, because we are tired as young people and we have to take power. And just as I finish, I want to say that tuungane mkono pamoja, tuunge watu wa mashinani pia mkono, kwa sababu isikuwa tu ni demonstration peke yake ndio tunaungana mkono peke yake. Tukicall upon hizi dialogues zenye tuna address issues za police brutality, issues za extrajudicial killings, can you be with us and can you hold our hand? And just to finish with, as a woman, I want to say pia wamama wa mashinani wamechoka, because every time that our kids are getting killed, it comes back to us kama wamama. When our kids wanaenda kwa drugs, it comes back to us kama wamama. When it is crime, it comes back kama wamama. So sisi wamama pia tumechoka, na ukweli wamama wa hii country tukiamua kuungana na mayouths, tutaingia kwa hiyo state house and we will take power, because we are tired. We are very tired. Viva comrades, viva! More power to the people, more power.
Fire! Vijana power! Our daughter and our young sister has taken half the time Ndugu Gasheke took. So that is a trend. Concentrate, focus, discipline, preciseness. The next calling, I'm not saying these things because I'm anticipating it'll take long. I'm sure it'll take preciseness. Kama mtu anapicha hapo, kamera apige kabisa. Mama na daughter, baba na binti yake. Kelvin Okoth, Gaucho, bunge la wananchi. Vijana power!
Okay. Vijana power. Okay, kwa political class, Baba Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua na comrades ambao wamefika hapa. Kwa majina ni Calvin Sokoth, bunge president ama ghetto president Kenya mzima. Kwa niaba ya wanabunge, wanabunge wana tu kufungua hivi, tunaanza kuandamana kutoka Monday to Sunday. Asanteni na Mungu awabariki. Nikimalizia na salamia Makolonde ambao tulikuwa nayo ndani na ndugu yangu Kango, sisi tulikuwa na jita G3. Asanteni na Mungu awabariki.
Maandamano Raila usiache, bado maandamano, 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 bado maandamano, maandamano, maandamano.
Gaucho pia mjanja. Gaucho anachukua ujanja, anasema fanya ujinga. Sisi tumeambiwa wajinga tufanye mambo mawili. La kwanza, Mwalimu Nyerere alisema baina ya mjinga na mpumbavu. La pili, there was a time, mainly young people, can hear me. Young people, there was a time, if you call yourself president in Kenya, you'll be detained without trial. So next, I'm going to call Sheikh Ibrahim Lithome here. He had given apologies. If he's not here, can I call Ibrahim Yongo? Ibrahim, are you here? Yes, tafadhali. Alafu baada yake atakuja Dr. Devji Atela, KPMDU, Dr. Wesonga Uwasu, Bwana Manyara, and then dada yetu Ruth Mumbi. So as you come, brother, now let's be very precise.
Shukran. Nachukua fursa hii kushukuru kila mmoja wetu ambaye amefika hapa. Kwa majina naitwa Ibrahim Yongo. Mimi ni kiongozi mashinani, chairman wa Mtindo Welfare Association, ikiwa ni sehemu ya kufanya biashara kule Makadara constituency. Yangu ni machache na ni observation ambayo nimekuwa nikifuatilia, nikijaribu kuangalia jinsi tunavyoendelea na hizi harakati zetu. Na tunafahamu vizuri mambo ilivyoenda mpaka pale tumefika. Tunatafuta way forward. Lakini katika hii way forward pia tukiangalia kwa makini, sisi tunapigana tukijua target ni nini. Na tunatafuta mbinu, ima mbinu iko na tunajua viongozi wetu wanajua end game ni nini. Kwa hivyo wengine wetu viongozi mashinani, tunafuata viongozi wetu tukijua kwamba wanatuelekeza katika mstari iliyo sawa. Lakini sisi mashinani pia tukiwa kule tunaangalia zile ambazo zinaendelea katika nyanja za juu, lazima tufanye observation na tuangalie na tukosoe upungufu ile tuko nayo na tuzirekebishe. Sehemu ambao kuna upungufu na sisi tutoe maoni ni vipi zitaimarishwa. La kwanza, toka tumalize uchaguzi tunajua koti ilivyotufanyia ubakaji na tukakubali. Lakini nafasi ilipopeanwa kwa wale viongozi ambao sasa wako mamlakani kuendesha nchi, ni dhahiri kuwa kwamba hii shughuli hawakujiandaa vizuri. Na mpaka leo kwa kweli ukiangalia mazungumzo ya viongozi inaonyesha kuwa kwamba hawakujiandaa, ama ujuzi na mbinu ujanja kuendesha taifa hamna. Kwa hivyo nafasi ipo bado ya kurekebisha mambo. Lakini je, sisi kama option ambayo itakuwa ni fallback ya mwananchi, uongozi wetu kidogo upungufu iko wapi na itarekebishwa vipi? Mimi kwa mtazamo wangu nikijaribu kuangalia jinsi tunavyopigana vita kule hewani, hapa namaanisha kupitia vyombo vya habari, magazetini, redioni na hata kwenye televisheni. Kwa kweli kikosi chetu ina upungufu ya watu wa kurusha marasharasha. Kwa mfano, kwa kipindi cha siku 2-3 makamu wa rais amekuwa akitushambulia sana na anashambulia viongozi wetu wakuu. Imefika kiwango cha makamu wa rais anauliza taifa ama anaeleza taifa, yeye anazungumza kama makamu wa rais ambaye ilichaguliwa, lakini hana muda ya kuzungumza na Raila Odinga. Mpaka anatuuliza Raila Odinga ni nani, yeye anazungumza kama nani? Tumefika hapo. Je, ukijaribu kuangalia tajriba ya makamu wa rais na mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, His Excellency, hapo kuna comparison kweli? Hakuna nafasi kama hiyo. Je, kwa nini chukue kipindi cha wiki mzima? Mheshimiwa rais amekosewa heshima hapo. Sisi wanarasharasha wetu, nikisema marasharasha wetu namaanisha food soldiers wetu wa kumachi Gachagua wako wapi? Viongozi wetu wako wapi wa kubishana na Gachagua? Kwa sababu kiwango cha Martha Karua na Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga si kiwango cha Gachagua. Na wakati mzee ataenda kurespond kwa Gachagua, inamaanisha tumeshusha hadhi ya mzee. So tunauliza, na mimi siko hapa kukosea watu heshima, isipokuwa kwa observation yangu ni kuwa our communication sector ama communication system iko na upungufu. Na inatakiwa ikiwa leo Gachagua ama Ichung'wah atasimama aongee ujinga na upuzi alivyoongea, jua lisitue kabla tujapata mtu wa kumjibu moja kwa moja. Hii ni observation ya kwanza. Kwa hivyo nikimalizia nukta hilo, ningetaka kuomba communication team ya Azimio, tafadhalini marisheni kikosi chenu. Na mimi nachukua fursa hii mama na kuuliza moja kwa moja, ningeomba nafasi katika hiyo sekta. Mimi niwepo, matches tuko na the best team, lakini there's always a chance for improvement. Na tusidharauliane hapa, mzuri sione kama amekosewa heshima, isipokuwa kuna nafasi na kuna haja ya kuimarisha hicho kikosi, ndio kusudi. Tukirishiwa kombora ni sisi tunarusha kombora. Tusirishiwe kombora inafika wiki mzima kama hiyo agenda ambayo tulirushiwa na ni uongo mtupu, sisi hatuja respond, inakuwa ni ukweli. Na sisi tunajua vizuri wale mabwana ni wazuri sana kwa kuweka propaganda. La mwisho, nilisema nitakuwa kwa mfupi kwa kusema, tafadhali, tunajua vizuri vuguvugu ambayo inaendelea kwa saizi ama harakati ambayo inaendelea kwa saizi, tunajua inaweza fika kiwango ya kuwa kwamba watu warudie uchaguzi ama sisi tupewe serikali. Lakini ndio tufikie hapo. Je, tutakuwa tumemwandaa mwananchi kwa njia gani? Mwananchi ataandaliwa kwa njia gani? Kwa sababu kumbuka, wenye tunapinzana nao ni watu wajanja sana na ni wakora sana kwa propaganda na maandalizi ya mashinani. Tunavyozungumza saizi, chama cha Kenya kwisha tayari wako na mikakati kupitia hii kofa zao ambao wanaita ni hustler fund. Nimekuambia mimi ni kiongozi mashinani, na kwenye sehemu mimi naongoza leo kuna watu wao maagency ambao inakuja kuhamasisha watu mashinani kwa kwamba kuna fedha katika hiyo coffers ya hustler fund. Lakini sasa ina target vikundi ambazo ziko tayari ziko registered, na tunajua vizuri vile vikundi ziko registered mashinani ama mtaani ziko kwa wingi sana. Sasa lengo lao ni kwenda kumarisha zile vikundi, zinapewa nafasi na zinaelezewa kila kikundi ifanye recruitment ya watu ejapo 50. Kisha kuna mapeni ambao watapewa moja kwa moja, wanaform kama sako hivi. Kisha wanapewa pesa pale ya wao kukopeshana wao kwa wao. Tayari hii ni mbinu janja ya kuingia na kukita mashinani, ambapo saa zile filimbi kitapulizwa tu hivi kwamba labda kuna uchaguzi na kuja, tayari wao watakuwa kuna maagents wao ambao kidogo ama kwa njia moja au nyingine wameimarishwa kikamilifu macheche.
Asante sana Ibrahim. Lakini nawaomba mtu akipewa fursa aitumie vizuri na kwa ufupi, lakini asante sana ndugu Ibrahim kwa mawazo yako. Dr. Atela, Dr. Wesonga. As Dr. Wesonga is coming, ndugu Manyara awe tayari au Majakos, Makajos. Alafu Rusi Mungu.
Thank you very much. His Excellency Raila Odinga, His Excellency President, my name is Constantine Wasonga, and I'm the Secretary General of University Academic Staff Union. From the academy, we are supporting social justice. And we have one motto, that education liberates. We don't support injustice. So whenever you find a movement that fights for social justice, know that Wasonga is there. We have been given the data here. I don't want to agree with the data. I don't want to dispute the data. Because, you know, I represent all the landed people here. Analysis of data falls under the domain of my members. I'm going to subject this data, interrogate it, then we'll give our position. So that I give a position from an informed position. And you know, once we get that this thing is right, we give our position whether you like it or not. Since independence, it is the first time that the government cannot pay its workers. And people think that it is a normal exercise. We are being told to tighten our belts. I want to say that as University Academic Staff Union, we shall not tighten our belts because we pay taxes and we are not going to beg to be paid. We are going to demand to be paid. So whoever is thinking that they can tell academic staff to tighten their belts, we are not there. Today is 13th. Our members worked. And we don't know whether we are going to be paid or not. You know, initially, the middle class thought that the cost of living was just high for the poor. Now they have gone to the middle class. So it is upon the middle class to stand up and speak, because we are heading in the wrong direction. Whoever imagined that a government can say that they cannot pay their workers, a government, and once we will stand with the people, and we will not tighten our belts. A government that cannot pay our workers has no business being on the throne. Thank you very much.
I would like to call now either Manyara or Makajos, and then Ruth Mumbi, either Canon Karanja or his representative Suba Churchill, and we finish with Kenneth Osido.
Comrades power! Comrades power! Comrades power! Comrades Ria! Comrades Ria! Your Excellency Raila Odinga, Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka, viongozi wote wa Azimio. Mimi naitwa Anthony Manyara, the President Kenya University Students Organization, also doubling as the President of East African Students Union. Mimi nimekuja hapa leo kuwakilisha wanafunzi wote wa all the universities in this country. Now, before Rachel Tabitha, where are you? You just wave from wherever you are. If you're an elected student leader, tafadhali just wave from wherever you are. As you can see, Your Excellency, tuko na viongozi wote wa conference hapa. Mimi nitaongea mambo machache sana. First of all, let me begin by saying that this government is to blame for very many problems that students are facing today. Jambo la kwanza, ukiangalia mambo ya HELB. Last week but one, we had Kabianga University demonstrating. We had very many universities that have demonstrated sababu ya mambo ya HELB. Mimi baba nataka kukuomba sahi ututengea hata kama ni Friday tuendelee na maandamano yetu as university students mpaka tuhakikishe ya kwamba hiyo pesa imeachiliwa. We are not begging for our salaries. We are not begging for help. Help is a right for every student. I would like to summarize this by saying that you cannot pickpocket a naked man. Reason as to why we are saying this is because wanafunzi pale chuo kikuu wanakaanga panya, wanawinda ndege. These are students who are sleeping hungry. The government doesn't understand that wanafunzi wanainama. This we are coming to a situation whereby students are killing themselves. Students are committing suicide. We have the movement for the defense of democracy. Students have been in opposition since 1963. Saa hii tunataka kuomba hiyo bipartisan talks ambayo inafanyika, let youth leaders be part and parcel. Hata fadhali subcommittee itengenezwe kidogo hapo chini, so that young people can feel part and parcel of that process. Nikimalizia baba, nataka kusema ya kwamba movement for the defense of democracy, kuna wale watu walikuwa wameanza kutent jina wakisema ati hawa watu sijui wamevaa berets, sijui wamevaa jeshi. Hawa ni vijana ambao wako at the forefront of fighting for the rights of many Kenyans who are the oppressed, who are the hoi polloi, who are the people down there. Hao ndio real hustlers. Watu wengi hapa, tuko na hata wandai hapa mobilize pale wabunge. Sisi wote tupatane place moja, we do a real march to State House. Ama namna gani? Ngine yetu kwa hiyo party yao ya bipartisan. We are telling hata kusema ati tuende tukaongee na Kimani Gichungwa. Who is Kimani Gichungwa? Who is Kimani Gichungwa? We are supposed to reject those bipartisan talks until they bring serious faces on that team. Thank you so much.
Asante sana brother.
Namshukuru sana kiongozi wetu wa wanafunzi wa vyuo vikuu. Wale wanaokuja kuzungumza sasa ndio tunamalizia, ndio tuje kwenye plenary. Just hold on. Mimi I learned a great lesson when I went to Karachuonyo. Kule unasema Mogik, alafu unaendelea. alafu unasema Mogik kabisa, alafu unaendelea, alafu unasema Mogik kabisa kabisa. Sasa ukija hapa Mogik moja tu, only one Mogik, dada yetu Ruth. Dada Ruth Mumbi, Human Rights Defenders Network.
Viva na Kenya, viva na Kenya, as the Kenyan people, to exercise that power directly. Na hatutaomba ruhusa, na hatuombi wana Israeli walizunguka the world. We as young women of Kenya tutakuwa tukiziendeleza kule mashinani, mkiongea hapa juu na sisi tunaongea hapa chini. Mnachukua sauti yetu, mnasema wananchi wa Kenya wale international na maadui zetu. Kwa sababu katika kazi yangu ya wanaharakati tumesimama sana na Venezuela. We have showed solidarity with the Venezuelan people. But wakati Karmago alituibia ushindi wetu, it's really unfortunate
that even the Venezuela government haijaiongea jambo. So sisi tutakuwa tunaofa solidarity kwa wale wanatupatia solidarity. So kwa hayo machache na mengi nasema ni asanti, na lazima tushikane mkono na tupatiane nguvu ya kureclaim na kuexpand the shrinking space ambayo inaendelea kushrink katika hii nchi yetu ya Kenya.
Ndoto yao ambayo walisema Mungu bariki nchi yetu ya Kenya, haki iwe ngao na mlinzi, tukae na undugu amani na uhuru,
Leo ni leo,
raha
inawezekana.
tupate na ustawi,
Leo ni leo,
na inawezekana.
inawezekana. Leo ni leo. Lero, lero ni lero. Lero, lero ni lero. Lero, lero ni lero.
Juzi nimepoteza kondoo kadhaa, mamia ya kondoo. Na nashuku kwamba kuna moja iko kwa hii nyumba. The solution is simple. Open the door. Let the owners of the kondoo certify themselves that indeed you are not holding any of the lost. That is the stand of the civil society. That there can be no reconciliation without justice. And there can be no justice without truth. That truth can only be ascertained not by my friend Wasonga going to subject this data, but by the holders of the information making that information available, because we'll end up confusing the masses. Because your lecturers will come up with their own figures, other people will also come with their own. Let those who are holding the information make it available pursuant to Article 35 of the Constitution. That is the stand of the civil society. We have been told in Article 88 of the Constitution that the IBC is one of the constitutional commissions. As one who participated in writing this Constitution, I've looked at the provisions relating to the functions of the IBC. And I think and I want to suggest, as an election observer, I know for a fact that there are three types of commissions. Ours falls under the constitutional commissions. Then there is the mixed model and the government model. It is my submission that what is in contention in this matter is not the panel. It is the formula being used to establish the commission. And I want to urge us to admit that our country and our state of democratic development is still too backward to let the president and incumbent president run the show by presiding over the appointment of everybody else who contributes people into the panel that sets up the commission. I want to remind us that in 2002, the only reason we had free and fair and credible elections that met the frameworks as set out in Article 86 is when we had different actors, critical stakeholders, saying this will be our representative in the commission. So what we are calling for as a civil society is a review of the method of setting up the IBC. And we are saying that whatever is in this constitution is not cast on stone. That it is not about the panel, it is about relooking at Article 88 of the Constitution and saying this formula is wrong. And Dr. Wasonga will agree with me that, as our mathematics teachers used to say, when you get the formula wrong, the answer can never be right. We will never get it right until we get the formula of establishing, not reconstituting, establishing the commission. Because the commission is the one that registers citizens as voters. It's the one that delimits boundaries of constituencies and wards. It's the one that updates the voters' roll. It's the one that oversees the resolution of disputes of nominations. It's the same one that presides over referenda and elections. We are saying this commission must be treated differently. And we have examples in that same constitution. The manner in which, for example, the Revenue Allocation Commission is established, where there is consultation, where people, stakeholders have representatives, is perhaps some of the formula we need to borrow and bring into the establishment of the IBC. Lastly, as a representative of the sector, I would be failing in my responsibility if I don't raise this. Way back in
2013, a new law was passed. The passive regimes have refused to operationalize it. We are seeing on the other side people who called us names, said we are evil society. I'm not surprised that day in, day out, they celebrate the contributions made by Kenyans in the diaspora, but never mention the significant contribution that this sector makes to the economy, creating jobs and ensuring that those who are underprivileged, those who are underserved, get some of the services that government cannot provide. Lastly, I agree with those who are saying that hata kama kuna majadiliano inaendelea kwa kikao fulani, moto pia lazima iwe inawaka nje. That's how it works. That's how it works. Without pressure. And some of the things they don't admit, you know, when people are complaining about salary, what they are not admitting is that 2 weeks of mass action cost them the money they would have used to pay. They will not tell you that. But these are the realities. We need to cost them another 2 weeks so that those civil servants can join us in the demonstrations. This is how revolutions happen. Revolutions don't happen when everybody is paid on time. We like it. All civil servants who are not yet paid will join you in the struggle for change. One thing people who are close to you may not tell you, and which people say outside, is that you don't seem to have the ruthlessness that is required in this struggle. That, you know, my grandfather was a well-known partaker of traditional brew, busa. But he would not entertain a fly around his calabash. You are still entertaining people who have defected. People who have crossed over. People who have betrayed the struggle. By now, there should have been a by-election ongoing in Kisumu for the Senate. By now, we should be having a by-election in Langata. People are saying you don't have the ruthlessness. This struggle requires some level of ruthlessness. And it is not that there's no shortage of people who can lead in those constituencies. Bondo constituencies are sure bet. What are we waiting with that? Baba, you need some level of ruthlessness in this struggle. Because if people are aiming to kill you, why not kill them first? That is what the struggle is about. I'm glad to see my colleagues, Kenya University Students Organization. I want to tell you, I'm the founder chairman of the Kenya University Students Organization. And then we were founding it in 1995. Some of us were expelled. Then we became clever. We say, if you are thrown out through the door, find a way of coming back through the window. So when we went to the Register of Societies, we say, you in particular, we know you are notorious. You have been expelled. You are not a student. We went and registered in a driving school and came back and say, now you see, we are students in a driving school. Those are some of the creativity that we need. Asanteni sana.
Vijana munataka nani? Baba. Na wazee munataka nani? Baba. Hadi wa mama munataka nani? Baba.
Sisi ni wa baba. I hope my brother Suba will not mind me sharing the following. I want to share with Baba two things about Suba as he greets him. So Brother Suba introduced himself as an activist. But at the end, he also indicated that he was a founder, student leader of the university. But even more importantly, he is now the national coordinator of Civil Society Reference Group. He was out of town when he heard this session was on. By his own pressure and the pressure of those he represents, he traveled overnight to be here today. So, Kevin, please, you're the second last person, so let's make it precise. And I have reserved the last chance in this session, the last chance, to those men and women who are in the front line represented by MDD. Yes?
I'll be taking you on.
Around the ongoings in their country. When we received this phone call that came to us yesterday evening, we were very glad because this really is an exercise of Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya that gives sovereign power to the people. In addition to that, we have very many legislative proposals that support public participation. So we have come here in very big and huge numbers to participate. And if a similar call comes from Kenya Kwanza, we will as well attend and make our voice to count. I am speaking on behalf of an organization called County Governance Watch, whose sole purpose is to watch over devolved governments of Kenya, really by presenting proposals and recommendations that strengthen and enhance devolution in the counties. In addition to this, we engage a lot in issues around leadership and governance. And so elections, peace and security really form the core of the work that we do. And so in the Middle we have organizations that are from, let me say, across the country, because beyond County Governance Watch, we engage with a network called the Peace Actors Forum that is represented by Madam Leah Kimathi. I think she's seated somewhere there. And also stakeholders from Mathare, Kibra, and other informal settlements that we engage with. They have sent me here with a 4-page document that I am not going to read, but I want to summarize it in brief. The first issue is, of course, taking note of the fact that our elections are necessarily standing as a trigger for violence, crisis, and dilemma. And this is happening because, as a country, we have failed to really look at the far greater challenges that the country is facing. And so if you look at very many platforms that have been presented to us, very many conversations that have taken place in this country, there are lots of unfinished businesses. And that is why, even as we stand in this very non-partisan platform, we want to appreciate Baba. Because I keep telling people that if Baba told us that kulikuwa na mamluki pahali na kuna watu wale, si basi tutaweka server pia wawe mamluki, na baadaye kutakuwa na sehemu na pahali ambapo ukweli wa huo server utajulikana. And so we take note of processes such as the Kenya National Dialogue and Reconciliation processes of 2008 that raised issues. 4 among those issues: constitutional and legal institutional reforms, land reforms, tackling poverty and inequality, tackling unemployment, especially among young people, and of course cross-cutting issues such as consolidating national cohesion and unity while addressing transparency, accountability, and impunity. As a network and an agency, we are convinced that the political process that we currently have, especially bordering on largely the reasons why we are here, focus on humiliating competitors, critics, and those who do not agree with the views, rather than building consensus and strategies for solving our country's issues. So we take note of progressive processes that have taken place to try and deal with some of those concerns, but we are also convinced that the people, the economy, eradication of suffering and promoting dignity are not a preserve of politics and therefore of governments. Progressive voices have to be given their place at those particular tables. And that is why beyond the agenda 4 issues, the 3 concerns that I have raised are concerns that are bedeviling Kenyans today. Consequently, and despite being detailed in past review processes, including the Kenya and NEPAD APRM process reports, the Justice Waki and Krigler commissions, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission reports, the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission TJRC report that of course led to the 2007-2008 Kenya National Dialogue and Reconciliation process, the Vision 2030 document itself, and much more closely, we take note of progress and regress that were made in the 2017 Joint Parliamentary Select Committee. And one agenda that not so many of us have talked about here today is the Building Bridges to Unity process that was quashed by our courts. These, ladies and gentlemen, are opportunities that give us the privilege, therefore, to make progressive steps that give us platforms to be able to exercise progressive aspects that therefore address the conflicts and the challenges that Kenyans are facing. The second broad conceptual challenge that we submit to Azimio today is the increasing feeling of hopelessness among the citizenry due to being disempowered, and indeed the lack of organizing, lack of an objective and consistent voices among the citizen groups. Must it be the Right Honorable Raila Odinga who will stand between the injustices that Kenyans are facing and the progressive steps that Kenyans require from their governments? The answer is no. And therefore we are hoping that in all these additional processes that are being undertaken, including the latest, which is the bipartisan process, that this degree of helplessness that Kenyans are facing is going to be addressed, and that it is neither the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and his fellow leaders and the government, but that Kenyans will begin to have the conscious thinking and understanding that we have a responsibility that has been given to us by our constitution to exercise certain sovereignty. Therefore, in finishing, what are our 6 proposals to Azimio and to the bipartisan committee? Number 1, we are proposing that we need to restructure the executive to dignify and institutionalize the opposition to perform its oversight role effectively within a presidential presidential system. Now, this memorandum, Electoral and Boundaries Commission, the mandate and the functions of that commission is to conduct free, fair, transparent, and accountable elections for Kenyans. In exercise of that mandate, Kenyans vote for 6 positions that, of course, interest different contestants. Going by past electoral experiences, we have been told that winning the presidency means getting everything and losing everything if you lose and fail to become the president. This is happening both at the national level, regional levels, county levels, but even at an individual level. When you run for president, like the 4 candidates who ran for office and did not lose it, where do we take you to? What does that mean for us as a people? And therefore we are proposing that we need to begin to have a conversation as candid as is possible to review this structure that therefore will be able to open up certain spaces for us to be able to look at how we can be able to strengthen accountability, transparency, and indeed integrity of various agencies. The second issue that we are raising, devolution. So strengthening devolution, institutional performance, and governance. We have seen, and as a network, we have undertaken an analysis of the promises that were made by both Azimio la Umoja and also Kenya Kwanza on devolution and the benefits that would be that would accrue to Kenyans with this. We are sorry to say that Kenya Kwanza government has failed to live by the dreams of Kenyans and the prospects that have been given to us through the Constitution of Kenya insofar as devolution is concerned. And therefore we are proposing that, 1, funds that have been contained by the national government that are supposed to go to county governments be released, and that the bipartisan process that has been proposed begins to have a candid conversation around how we can be able to forestall the challenges that come with the division of revenue allocation. This goes beyond just Parliament, but also looking at the various constitutional commissions and also the functions as are detailed in Schedule 4 Schedule 4 of our Constitution of Kenya that basically narrates the functions of both national and county governments. Why are we saying this? We say this because we have also noted a trend at which the national government, particularly the Kenya Kwanza government, is stifling devolution, not just because of judiciary mechanisms and concerns, but indeed even regaining and reclaiming functions that are supposed to be done by county governments, and they are currently being both financed and executed and implemented by national government. If we fail to do this, ladies and gentlemen, therefore what will happen? For the first time, as one of my former speakers has said, we are noticing a trend where public servants have not been paid. County governments, various service delivery sectors have actually threatened to go on strike. Are we saying that it is the demonstrations that are going to get us back to the drawing and talking table? The answer is both yes and no. Why? Because we have to exert pressure. So there are people who will exert that pressure. And we also have to have conversations that are progressive and transformational. As I head towards finishing, the third issue is bringing a closure to the 2017 and 2022 general elections and making elections credible, accountable, and acceptable. We are here because we have been given data. What does this data mean to you? And I want to echo the words of Suva Churchill because they are also indicated in this memorandum. Article 35 of the Constitution gives any citizen of the Republic of Kenya the right of access to information held by the state. If we fail to exercise that right and not waiting for Baba Mheshimiwa Right Honorable Raila Odinga, we want to see as many petitions to institutions of government pushing for opening up of the servers. It doesn't have to be Raila Odinga. As an individual, you can do a petition. As a network of family members, you can do a petition. And so beyond this meeting, I am requesting us to go out there and seek for petitions, letters, and questions that will ensure that if the server has the answer to what ails Kenya today, let the servers be opened. We have been told that there is no mechanism. There is a mechanism in Article 35. But if we fail to exercise that right, what will we be doing? Let's go back to the voter turnout of 2022 elections. More than 10 million plus people did not vote. Young people, particularly 8.4 million, didn't turn up to vote. If we fail to strengthen reasons as to why Kenyans go to an election, 2027 might not even attract a 34% voter turnout. Why? Because Kenyans will ask the question, what does my vote mean? And so we are also asking that question. What does waking up early in the morning mean to us? What does it mean to our government in office? Let us exercise our sovereign power, ladies and gentlemen, to push for implementation of Article 35 and Article 38 of the Constitution that gives power to people for universal suffrage on elections. Because failure to exercise that power, the young people of the generation that are following up to Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga will not wake up to go and vote. That means that there may be no elections in 2027. Lastly, cost of living. How many of us have 100 shillings in our pockets? Kenyans are crying. We want food. And it is the responsibility of any government that calls itself a caring government to provide mechanisms, stable environments, and opportunities for people of all cadre, whether elders, young people, persons with disability, the youth, women, children, to find food to eat. Children want to go to school. We are asking the government to exercise its power to make cost of living affordable, achievable for the majority of Kenyans. I thank you so much for listening to me on behalf of the people who sent me here. God bless you, God bless Kenya, and God bless Azimio. Asanteni.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I was not rushing him, but because Kevin has a written memorandum, I'm sure we'll be happy to receive the memorandum and process it, but continue to engage with you and your national network. Now, we have come to the end. Is there a representative of MDD here? Oh, he's here. We were waiting. We said we are going to give you the last loud intervention at this stage because you are on the front line of Mapambano. Karibu ndugu.
Freedom, my people, freedom. Freedom, my people, freedom. You know, my name's Eliud Opany. And as Malcolm X says, by every means necessary. I operate closely with MDD, but I'm the chairman of the Ordinary People's Movement. And I had to take this chance, and for sure you cannot now stop me. During the French Revolution, one Jean said, when the poor will be left with nothing more to eat, they will come for the rich. As the ordinary, we've come this close, I can assure you. And I want to tell you, with Baba being our general, as the ordinary citizens, this is what the ordinary people are saying. We took note when you were told negotiations were commencing. Baba, that very week, Dr. Ruto called you my brother. The second week, his deputy, without chills, called you ordinary. Baba, if you're not going to let us go to the streets as you continue with the negotiations, what will they do the third week? I can tell you, Baba, the ordinary people want to be in the streets because that is the only platform we have a chance to enjoy our rights. And I want to remind everybody, and this is biblical, in Galatians 6:9, for those of us who are in struggle and at times get weary,